Hi Chelsea fans, I thought I'd do this video trying to understand the Todd Boehly era and the Todd Boehly revolution at Chelsea, because let's face it, since the summer, right up until this window, which we thought would be quieter, we've been sitting here pretty much thinking, what the there's another one signed. And it looks like it's not even stopping now, with the likes of Enzo Fernandez, with Chelsea going back in for him with a report that they're willing to pay 120 million euros to try and get Raul Costa or Rui Costa to change his mind and sell him to Chelsea to try and get that midfield position sorted out. We've announced the sign of Malo Gusto, the 19-year-old right-back, exciting player. He's loaned back to Lyon for the remainder of the season. But you look at how many players we've signed. 15 so far. 16 possibly with Fernandez. Will it end there? But what about the players that are here? What about our bloated squad? The fact that we could put out three different starting 11s tells you everything. There can only be a conclusion that there's going to be a massive fire sale at Chelsea with some big names going. And I'm just trying to understand the revolution of Todd Boehly at Chelsea. And I think back to Roman Abramovich when he took over Chelsea. A couple of windows, some big signings, a lot of players that came in. Other players were discarded. And it's going to be the same at Chelsea. Maybe in the next couple of days before the window closes, and again in the summer with some players, some big players with contracts that are due to expire at the end of next season that could be potentially sold to the club, make some money on them. So we're going to look at this. Could be potentially 10 players, by the way. So we're going to look at our squad now, look at these signings that have come in and whether or not they've made a bit of an impact and where the future lies with them. And just to try and understand it. That's what I want to do a video about, because I've not seen one out there. I've not been looking, but I've not seen one out there, which makes no sense. Anyway, I wanted to get the video done. And I tried to be a bit realistic with it, try and understand the situation as it is. And if you like the premise or the idea of this, then make sure you stay tuned for it. Drop a like on it for me and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So let's start with our signings so far since the summer through this window. Starting with the most expensive down. With Wesley Fofana remains the most expensive. He signed from Leicester. Coming a bit of a shaky start. Then he got his foot in and he sort of calmed down a bit. And then he got his injury and he's been out since the end of the season with an ACL, which is a massive blow for him. At 21 years of age, big signing for us. And he's for the future, Fofana. He'll do well at Chelsea. Then, again, we're going value-wise. mykhaylo Mudryk. His little cameo at Liverpool has given everybody massive hope and excitement that we've got someone that is willing to take people on, drive at them, and is exciting. And what a talent this guy is at 22. We've got him tied down for an 8-year contract. And I like the idea of what Boehly's doing with these long-term contracts. You play well, you get your bonus for that. You get your pay rise for that. You don't play well, you stay the same money. Same with us in our working lives every single day. We don't exceed, don't expect a pay rise. Simple as that. I like the idea. Marc Cucurella, for me, the amount of money we paid for him, when you look at Lewis Hall, I think Lewis Hall's better all round than Cucurella, and that says a lot. I think Cucurella is under pressure, maybe in the summer, but we have to wait and see what's going to happen with Graham Potter, who's already sold him once. But you have to wait and see what's going to happen. Now, did he sell him because of the money that was involved in the deal? But Cucurella's sort of flattered to deceive, really. You sort of wonder, is he another Alonso as far as defensively? Have to wait and see. All depends on how Graham Potter wants to line up when his strongest 11 is available to see what he wants to do going forward. Then we got Raheem Sterling, another one, flattered to deceive so far in a Chelsea shirt. But you have to say, he has been played on the wrong side. He has scored some goals. He wants to play on that left. We keep playing him on the right-hand side. I wonder once the squad's all jigged about in the summer where Sterling finds himself, if it'll be on that left wing. Or maybe through the middle. You're not sure. But Sterling, 27 years old, he's got a future here at the football club for a couple of seasons yet, you have to imagine. Then you look at Benoit Badiashile, who come in and has looked calm, composed and assured. 21 years old for Monaco, a massive contract again. And a good signing. Should have scored against Liverpool from close range, but he's looked good. He's looked calm and assured. He looks unfazed, which is good for someone with such a young head and their shoulders. Compared to the next signing, Kalidou Koulibaly, 31 years old, signed from Napoli, rated as the best defender in Italy. He's come over to England and he's struggled big time. Is Koulibaly under pressure in the summer to go? I wonder. I'm sure there's going to be takers back in Italy if Chelsea decide that maybe he's not the way forward. Maybe they look to that signing as maybe Thiago Silva might go, but they've offered him another contract for another season because Silva's outstanding, world-class, still our best defender currently in the first team at the moment. And I wonder if they thought that Koulibaly would come in and take over from him as the experienced one, leading the younger generation around him. It's not really worked out so far for Koulibaly. I hope it does for him, but it hasn't worked out for him. Then we're looking at Noni Madueke, the ex-Tottenham Academy player that went out to PSV to make a name for himself, and he's done it. An exciting winger who wants to run at players, who scores goals and assists, who likes to come inside from that right wing on his left foot. And he's going to be a good signing. Only 20 years of age. Will he find himself in the Chelsea first team already? Or the renaissance of Hakim Ziyech, does that continue? I wonder. Then Malo Gusto, the 19-year-old right-back, signed, announced today by Chelsea. They've loaned him back out to Lyon. We've had a massive problem at this football club with no realistic competition for places with Reece James. Malo Gusto is not in James's class at all. Of course he isn't. But he's going to be coming into the football club in the summer where we could see a legend at our football club leave, which we'll talk about when we get to the players that could potentially go. You've then got Carney Chukwuemeka, who's done well since he's come in from Villa. Again, Chukwuemeka's only 18. He's got years ahead of him to develop his game, come into our football club, and just to learn and just to get that experience and learn from those players around him. Chukwuemeka's one for the future. He's done all right so far. Should have scored against Liverpool. Hesitated. Anyway, he'll learn that as time goes on. Andre Santos, an exciting Brazilian 18-year-old midfielder who can do it all. Another one. Absolutely just an outstanding prospect. And he's on another big contract. And he's one for the future. But I'd imagine that the way he plays and what I've seen of him playing when he was playing over at Vasco da Gama, he could push for a first-team place next season. Then you've got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who, let's be honest, is flattered to deceive, but he's not really been playing. For some reason, Graham Potter doesn't like him. He prefers Kai Havertz's work rate. But Aubameyang gives you that natural striker's instinct for me when we're lacking goals. But it's clear he's only going to be here for the remainder of the season if he lasts beyond this window. And then he's going to go. I think Chelsea, Potter, Aubameyang doesn't really work and he'll go. David Datro Fofana, raw young talent, the Ivorian centre-forward, signed from Mulder. He's only 20, another one for the future. You could see some of these players go out on loan maybe before the end of this particular window or next season, but he's one for the future. And then you've got Joao Felix, the guy who just put everyone sort of on the edge of their seat, standing up and taking notice. His performance against Fulham in the game for an hour before he was sent off. He was providing just someone that gave us that bit of creative spark. The players fed off of him. He got in positions where he was actually having shots on target and things like that, which was just mind-blowing for all of us. But Felix could really impress between now and the end of the season. And I personally think he's going to play a big part. Then you've got Gabriel Slanina, the 18-year-old goalkeeper, as I said, one for the future, loaned back to Chicago Fire. This guy has got a big future ahead of him. I look forward to seeing him in a Chelsea shirt. And, of course, the guy that couldn't get in after being signed on loan, Denis Zakaria. But he's made all of us sit up and take notice of his performances. He's outstanding. He should be playing week in, week out in that defensive midfield position, depending on how we play. But, obviously, he's got a slight injury. Hopefully he'll get through that and be back and available. But Zakaria's impressed all of us. So those players were on part of an already bulging Chelsea squad. And, I mean, some of the players we've not even mentioned in the squad still. You're looking at Mendy, Kepa. You're looking at Bettinelli. In our squad, Chalobah, Thiago Silva, Chilwell, Lewis Hall, Reece James. Spoken about Cesar, Jorginho, Kante, Kova, Conor Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, Christian Pulisic, Armando Broja, it's a massive, massive football squad. And you wonder what's going to happen with these players and the amount of players that could potentially go next summer. For me, there's a number of players that are on short-term contracts that will go. There are some players that have had a contract offered to them, according to reports. We wait and see what's going to happen. There's some doubts about one or two. It could be they stay, could be they go. We're looking at a squad of well over 30 or 33 players as it is at the moment. We're looking at potentially 10 players going, maybe a little bit less, maybe 8, to take our squad down to what it should be, 25. And some of these players that I believe will go in the summer, if not this particular window. First up would be the goalkeeper, Marcus Bettinelli. He's not really had a chance. I think Slonina will come into the football club and he will learn from the likes of Mendy and Kepa. But could we see Mendy go as well? Could we see 2 goalkeepers go in the summer? Edouard Mendy, who's had a shocking season, to be fair. He set himself such good high standards when he first turned up at the football club. And you look at his signing and the value of Kepa at the time and thought, my God, this guy he cost 3 times less than Kepa did and he was doing outstanding. But he's had a real nightmare season for him so far, up to the point where he got injured and he lost his place to Kepa. And Kepa has got a new lease of life. Fair play to him. Kepa, I think, here for the long term. Mendy's contract ends in 2025. Could Chelsea just decide to keep him another season, then decide at the end of next season what to do, knowing they've got a year left after that time? We have to wait and see. But I think Bettinelli will go. Marcus Bettinelli will leave the club. His contract expires at the end of the season. He'll go. Cesar Azpilicueta, bless him, he's now 33 years of age. He's pushing into his 30s now. He's not as quick as he used to be, but if you're going to ask him to play, to sit in that defensive position, he can still do a job. He's been an absolute legend for our football club. He did sign a new 2-year contract, despite reports of interest from Barcelona, which takes him to the end of next season. I think that basically the signing of Malo Gusto might trigger the end of Azpi's time at the football club. And I think Chelsea could potentially look to sell him at the end of the summer. And I just wonder if that's going to happen. If that happens, we're going to deal with it at the time, because Azpi's been an outstanding servant for our football club and he's won it all. Then we're going to move into the midfield positions. And we're going to talk about Jorginho. And Chelsea have reportedly offered him a new contract, but it's not what he particularly wanted, and I can see Jorginho going. And I think he will go, and I think a lot of people out there might be pleased with that situation. Some won't, but Jorginho has done okay for Chelsea. He's played an integral role in our successes at different times. And for me, he still is probably the best up there when it comes to being available for your back three under pressure when they're being pressed to play the out ball. His positional awareness is great. His use of the ball or control the ball, and his ability with the ball at his feet is great. The problem is, most of the time in his time at Chelsea, it's always gone sideways, never forward. And I think Jorginho will go at the end of the season. Next up, you've got N'Golo Kante. A new contract has been offered, and we're waiting for him to come back from the operation that hopefully finishes and gets rid of all these injury problems he's had in recent seasons, and he can prove his fitness between now and the end of the season. N'Golo Kante, a fit N'Golo Kante at 31, still can give you another good couple of seasons. And I think that's imperative. And I think that's such a key area for us going forward. With the new signings and the youngsters coming in, Kante can play an integral part. But at the same time, if he breaks down again with his injuries, I think Chelsea will let him go. Next up, you've got Mateo Kovacic. Now, Kovacic's contract expires at the end of next season. And I just wonder how much of a player, how much of an important part of our football club he will be going forward under Graham Potter and the Boehly revolution. I think he's still got a massive part to play, personally, and I think Chelsea will probably look to tie him down to a new deal. He's only 28. New deal potentially take him into his 32, 33 years of age. But I think Kovacic is someone where he can go either way. Will they look to a new deal, or will they try and get money for him and sell him in the summer? It all depends on what happens with Kante. Next up, Loftus-Cheek, another player that's been linked with a move away. Does Loftus-Cheek sort of fit into the plan going forward under Graham Potter and Chelsea? And you wonder, because he has done well playing in that deeper midfielder position, Loftus-Cheek. You just wonder, if there's room in the formation for him in a 4-3-3, for example, when you've got the likes of Mount and Havertz that can play box to box, you've got Gallagher that can play box to box, you're going to have Kante that can play that position, Kovacic as well, and Chukwuemeka. You wonder if Loftus-Cheek, maybe the club has given him that amount of time. He's now 27, and I wonder if they're going to cash in on him and sell him for some money before the end of this window or in the summer. I think it's debatable. Next up, Christian Pulisic. I think he's gone. I think Pulisic has never reached the heights that he did a couple of seasons ago at Chelsea when he was outstanding for one reason or another. For not being trusted by the manager and being out the team, coming in and not really being that player that we were looking for. And when I say that, I mean what we want from him. For example, mykhaylo Mudryk in that cameo against Liverpool took players on, beat them, you know, drove forward with that football and just dribbled through players, where Christian Pulisic's got a tendency these days to hold the ball up, come inside, lay it off, rather than attack players. And I think Pulisic and Chelsea we could see an end of that particular partnership, and I think it could be in this particular summer. He's got a contract to the end of next season. Chelsea could potentially sell him for money this summer. Next up, Joao Felix, obviously. He's going to go. He's only got a loan deal. He's just signed a new contract to Atletico as well. So he's going to leave the football club in the summer, but hopefully have a big, big impact and a big impression between now and the end of the season as we look to try and get top 4. Another player that could potentially leave, well, probably will leave, is Aubameyang. And Aubameyang, I spoke about his signing, flattered to deceive, really. Been out the team under Graham Potter. He still scores goals. I think that he's not the way forward for Chelsea as we look to our exciting forward line and our youthful forward line with Aubameyang, who, let's have a look on here. Aubameyang's age currently is 33, and I think he'll go in the summer. Chelsea will sell him for money. He's signed until the end of next season, but they'll probably sell him in the summer. And it all leads us down to one more player, which is Hakim Ziyech. Will Hakim Ziyech, who's contracted for 3 more seasons or a couple more seasons till 2025, including this one, will he be sold by the football club? There's reports that teams are still looking at him over in Italy, possibly in the Netherlands, possibly in the Premier League after a good World Cup. He's actually come in, and for the first time in a long time, he played the full 90 minutes in a Premier League game the other night against Liverpool, or the other day against Liverpool, and I wonder if he's doing enough now to that right-hand side. Him and Mudryk can fight out the position on that side with Sterling and Mudryk on the other side. And I just wonder if Ziyech will be someone that will find his way back in. Out of everyone that's been signed and the players already here that have been struggling, I think Hakim Ziyech could be one that forces his way back in. It's just a massive influx of players, a potential massive influx of players that are going out of the football club. And if you look at the way it was the beginning of this particular season, this is probably the strongest 11 that we had at the football club. As you can see here, the players you've got that we had at the beginning of the season after the signings that were made as to what our strongest 11 could potentially be. Obviously decimated with injuries to James and Chilwell, which have been key. You then look at what our first team squad could now be with everybody fit and the new signings in between now and the end of the season. Could it be this that you see here? Take a look around the players that you see here. And is that going to be the option that we're going to see between now and the end of the season? And then you look at what next season could be with the signings that we've made, how Chelsea could line up at the beginning of next season. So Chelsea fans, that's it from me. It's a long video, this one. Trying to explain the revolution of the Todd Boehly era at Chelsea. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. And let you know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you soon.